Welcome back to Shat on TV, American Gods Edition. My name is Roger Roper. Alongside me are my two co-hosts, Gene Lyons.
Hail to the old gods.
And Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And this is the introduction episode to what we will be doing every week, which is a weekly recap show of the highly anticipated adaptation of Neil Gaiman's ultimate career achievement, American Gods. We are not new to this. This will be our third show that we've done. The first being Westworld, and then followed that up with Taboo, and now it's going to be American Gods. So this is if you're familiar with show recaps, we'll be with you. A little bit about our format here at the end, but guys, I'm. Are you as stoked for American Gods as I am?
I'm very excited for American Gods. I read American Gods when it was first released, so that was 15 years ago, I think, and fell in love with it immediately. And it's one of the few, books that Neil Gaiman wrote that was not a graphic novel, but rather a true novel. And the way, as an immigrant, the way that it portrays the carrying over of immigrant tradition and identity was very, very powerful. His style of writing, I'll be very interested to see how it gets translated to film or to television. So it should be a powerhouse of a show, and it's got so much potential to carry on for seasons and really develop.
Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar with American Gods, and I'm just going to read the premise straight from the website here. The series will focus on the mysterious Shadow Moon. He's a man serving 3 years in prison for assault. With only days remaining in his sentence, Shadow is given an unexpected early release after his beloved wife Laura is killed in a car accident. Flying home for the funeral, Shadow is seated next to a man calling himself Wednesday, who offers Shadow a job he seems all too confident that Shadow will accept. Arriving home, Shadow finds that his life he thought that was waiting for him is gone. With no other options, he accepts Wednesday's offer. At first, it appears that Wednesday is nothing but a con artist who runs scams for cash and needs Shadow as a collaborator and bodyguard. Shadow soon learns that Wednesday is in fact the god Odin of Norse mythology. Wednesday is making his way across America, gathering all the old gods who, without believers, have now incorporated themselves into American life and pretend to be ordinary people, while the new gods, media, technology, and a host of others grow even stronger. Shadow finds himself drawn into the final confrontation between the old gods and the new. So this is, one of the things that I really liked about Westworld, guys, is like these overarching religious, themes that, everything almost had, a deeper meaning, right? There was something, below the surface level. Is that something, Gene, and I have to, come clean here. I haven't read the books yet, but I have read some of Neil Gaiman's, graphic novels. I'm a big comic book guy. It seems like it's a very dense idea, and HBO, in fact, tried to adapt this back in 2011, and it failed. And when you think of where it's come and the production of this, Neil Gaiman is heavily involved in this. It seems like it's a very difficult thing to bring all the themes that he is invoked in this novel, correct?
Right. There's a lot of, this is going to be fantasy in its true sense. It's going to require a lot of suspension of disbelief and a lot of really buying into and having faith in the content. What's wonderful about it, though, is that all these old stories, old gods that come from different cultures, have a common root in that they were used to symbolize very blatantly much larger things. So in its complexity, it's also very simple because everything is from oral tradition, right? All of these concepts and what they represent, the different old gods and the new gods as well, are very blatant. They're going to be right in your face about who they are and what they're about, and that's really nice. Once you crack the mystery of who each person is, and it's not very tough to crack, then you're going to really get down to what they represent and how those things interplay. What's amazing about this, though, is that Neil Gaiman put this book out in 2001. At that time, he already had the foresight to understand that the internet, that media, that the stock market and money, all these ideas would be forces that would be the new gods for Americans, and you're really seeing it kind of play out in the current social climate, where we're really distancing ourselves from traditions and essentially the old gods. Another really cool thing is, because we're a country of immigrants, you can actually like watch and probably see your culture represented at some point, and that's a real kick, right? So like, you've got, Easter's going to be in the house. You've got, as we mentioned before, Odin's there, Loki's there, the Queen of Sheba, Hindu goddesses, Germanic goddesses, and so old Irish gods. Like, it's going to be really cool to kind of, I think, touch a lot of people on a little bit of their people's history. And it's a really fascinating part of it. And I was a little hurt when I read the book that that there's no Kurdish god kicking around in America. We're here, people.
So now, to balance out Gene's exuberance, I'm coming at this completely blind. But I'm putting my faith in both Gene and Roger's testimonial that this is a great, solid next step for us. It's very interesting. I think it's an ambitious project, to say the least, to be able to convey all these deep concepts in a way that's both visually appealing and also engaging. I hope it just doesn't disappoint Gene, because I know Gene is a fickle individual. So if this goes south, I'm a bit frightened, because it's source material that's so close to his heart. So let's hope he stays on the good side of the gods.
My only fear with this show, and we've talked about this, when you think of Westworld, HBO is like the gold standard, right? The amount of money that they're able to sink into producing quality shows, is pretty consistent. And, when you look at Taboo and you look at what FX has done, we all agree, from a consensus, that FX is better, in my opinion, than AMC, right? From a basic channel perspective in America anyway, FX is amazing. It also doesn't help, it also doesn't hurt that Taboo is also, on BBC One. When it comes, however, to American Gods, I'm a little uneasy because it's Starz. Fremantle Media is producing it, and it's being distributed on Starz. Are we worried that Starz doesn't have the same panache as like an HBO?
Well, it wasn't long ago when a little online distribution channel called Netflix started producing content, and everybody said, "This is garbage. What are you talking about? This is essentially Blockbuster Online. This is my Redbox. How are you going to create your own material?" And they've done very well and created compelling stories with top-notch actors. There's no doubt. Just because it's Starz, everyone has a beginning. And as long as you have the talent behind it, which the show does, I have no doubt they're capable of doing it.
I agree. And also, I think that we have to take a step back and go, there were a lot of wonderful, wonderful shows. I mean, brilliant shows that did not have the biggest budgets for effects. And so I'm willing to forgive American Gods for the effect. It's really hard to pull off, like, showing me a god in action, right? I mean, a Thunderbird is really hard, as we saw in Fantastic Beasts. It's kind of a hard thing to depict. So I'm willing to forgive that. Battlestar Galactica, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, lots of shows that were monumental shows had not the greatest effects, and we were willing to forgive it because the story was so good.
God, I'm so excited seeing the glee in Gene's eyes. He is like a little schoolboy who got his first soccer ball, and he's watching Arsenal. Look at him. I'm so proud of you. You're going to be so happy. I can't wait for American Gods.
Yeah, my only fear, and again, guys, I apologize. This is me being the a little bit of a pessimist here. Is that if HBO had trouble adapting it, I'm just concerned. I can
counter that. HBO also tried to adapt this book called Game of Thrones, and they did their first episode, and it failed. They went back and had to completely rework it. So the premiere episode was shot with 80% different actors. So HBO doesn't always succeed right off the bat. So there's a good chance that if they had another shot at the material, they'd be able to do it now, but I wouldn't discount Starz right now. HBO doesn't always shoot 100%.
You talk about the cast, and if there's any cast that can pull this off, you look at the big actors, right? They've got Ian McShane, who we all absolutely adore in any project he's in, from Deadwood to Hot Rod, right? Ian McShane seems to just kill it. Crispin Glover, Back to the Future. I mean, right there. Gillian Anderson's in this. The return of Orlando Jones. Dane Cook, Christian Chenoweth is in this. I mean, there's some really good, not to say that Dane Cook, should be the only reason that you should watch this show, but I'm saying like from, listen, if I'm an A-list, celebrity like an Ian McShane, I'm going to want to attach my name to a project I believe in. And, he did amazing with Deadwood, and, there's nothing to prevent me from thinking that he wouldn't do the same here with American Gods. So let me ask you this, Big D, do you have any interest in reading the books, or do you just want to stay completely fresh throughout the entire series?
I think what's always made us successful is the diversity of us, the points of view, where we come from, our backgrounds. We have, I think, in Gene, the literary expert who's passionate about the source material. I think I'd like to play the virgin in this, so I can give the approach of new eyes, fresh eyes. And I think you seem to be somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think I'm going to I'm going to download the audiobooks, and I'm going to listen to the audiobooks. And Gene, I don't know if you're going to rehash. I know you've read this way back, but are you going to do something so it's fresh, or are you just going to go back on what you remembered?
Roger, I never sell a book, so I'm picking it up off the shelf, dusting it off, and giving it another read. Absolutely. It's been sitting here for 15 years just begging for, I think this will be the third time through it, but it's been a while.
And for those of you not familiar with Shat on TV, the typical format that we like to use is after every airing, we do an immediate Instacast. It's a raw, unfiltered, what's our immediate take? That's usually a 15 to 30 minute episode. Talk about some of the themes, some of what we saw, what were some of the big story arcs. We preview things that we're going to talk about. And unlike other recap shows, we don't go in a scene by scene format. We talk about big buckets. What were some of the big plot points that we want to talk about and we want to dive in? It becomes it's more of a Socratic approach to review shows that fans seem to have enjoyed. So we'll carry that forward on our American Gods Shat on TV cast. So we're going to do the Instacast, and that's followed the next day by a deep dive. And then listen, if there's enough emails, if there's enough fan participation, we did this for Westworld. We might do it again for American Gods. We'll see how that all plays out. But we do a fan listener email read where we read and react to your emails that you send in. So that's been our format. We'll see how the crowd is. We'll see how many people come with us on this journey. But it seems to be, there seems to be a lot of people, especially in the sci-fi, fantasy, literary realm, adaptations. There seems to be a cross-pollination of Westworld and Taboo and now American Gods. So hopefully we'll have a strong audience. So if you found us on iTunes, thank you so much. Please hit that subscribe button. It's probably a little too early, but if you're feeling generous, leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to share with your friends. It's how we keep it's how we grow the podcasts. Follow us on social media. We're everywhere. We're on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Just search for we're at Shat on TV. Our website is shatontv.com. You can email us, hosts@shatontv.com. And again, in addition to iTunes, we're on Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube. Be sure to, like I said, subscribe and join the conversation. You can also, if you're on our website, check out the cool Shat on TV merchandise that help keep the light on. And unless there's anything else that we want to talk about before we end, this will be the introductory podcast. On behalf of Gene Lyons and Big D, I'm Roger Roper, also known as The Raj. Be sure to check us on the next podcast, which will be when American Gods, debuts. Thanks so much.